Hi guys, what's going on? Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Angela. And please, in the course of this teaching, if you want to say anything, you see something like a palm on your screen. For those that are new to Google Meet, so just click on that palm. It shows that you are raising your hand, so I can know when somebody wants to speak. So we don't make the call rowdy. Okay. So you could just raise your hand if you want to say something. I'll be starting very soon. Let's just kick off by 7:40. So I'm still trying to join. Okay. In 3 minutes time we start.
I go back there. You go back there which first? Go back there.
I'm so sorry for the breakdown. Can you guys hear me now? Can you
I
hear
can hear
me?
you.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Sorry for the breakdown. So we officially kicked off this last Tuesday, which was July 11th, and we had a boarding call. So for those of you that missed it, my name is Ogbonna Shedrack, and I'm the lead front end developer at BlockchainUNN. So I'll basically be introducing you all into the Web2 stream, where we're going to dive deep into what Web2 is about and various areas in Web2. So basically, I'll do a quick recap of what the onboarding call entails. So this bootcamp is going to run for 24 contacts. That's across 12 weeks, which is twice a week. But because of the exam timetable, because I believe majority of us are students, most of us are writing exam this week. We decided that for the time being, we're going to be having just one contact. That's once every week. That's one contact per week until the exam pressure reduces. Not until the exam is over, until the exam pressure reduces, so that we can, try to finish up before September, October. So that's one of the major things you need to know. We are to be having our classes Sundays and Tuesdays, 7:30 to 9:30. Basically on last Tuesday, we introduced a lot to a lot of you all to the people that will be taking you in this cohort. There was also a document shared on the group earlier, so you can know your tutors in case probably you have questions, you need to follow up. And also, this call will be recorded. I think every session will be recorded for those who missed it. For graduation, because you are going to be offered a certificate after you're done with this bootcamp, you would need to have at least 60% attendance, 70% assignment submission, and submission of the final project. So, in as much as the call is going to be recorded, you should have a very good excuse for not being able to meet up with the class for that particular day, because recording is just for maybe you don't understand one or two things that happened in the meeting, then just go back to it to see what's the um admin or the tutor said at that moment. And also, we'll be publishing this recording on our YouTube channel as BlockchainUNN. So maybe if you don't get the recording for one reason or the other, you can just visit our YouTube channel. You're most likely going to see the recording, and the recording will be available at most 48 hours after the class has been held. So most likely you have to just, someone is saying you can't hear me. Is there another person that is having this issue? Can you hear me? Please signify. So I guess you all can hear me, right? Is that the case? Can you hear me, guys? I don't want to be talking now. Okay, okay,
Yes, we
okay.
can
You guys
hear
can
you.
hear me. Sorry about my
I can
dog.
hear you.
He's always barking.
We
So
can hear you.
yeah. So today basically the course outline we have for today is introduction to software development. So basically we're going to be talking about what software development is, the various career paths in software development, a front end developer. We're going to be discussing about that. So today is more of from next week, like you start with, you know, typing your keys and the rest. So today we are going to today is very non-practical. Today is very theoretical because we are going to be understanding concepts of what software development is about. So I'm going to be sharing my screen very soon so that you guys can see my slide, and I'll also provide the slide after the class. So can you guys see my screen? Um, you could unmute the mic. Tell me if you're seeing my screen, and also let me know if you are hearing me very well for this. So basically,
So your voice seems to be cutting.
it's taking time for me to answer your question. I have an assistant with me here. She's going to help me in assessing this question. So I also, okay, so let me check your messages. All right. So we begin. So in introducing software development, first of all, we need to understand how the web have evolved. Because basically, software development, the term software development came around during the evolution of Web 2 itself, not even Web. Because that's when we talk. First of all, I'd like to define what the web is about. So the web, which is the short form for the World Wide Web, the system of interconnected documents and other resources linked by hyperlinks. Okay, I hope this is much better. Can everybody hear me now, please? Very important. Can everybody hear me now? I'm going to start over. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Someone. Okay. Gideon. What are you trying to say? You can unmute your mic, Gideon. All right. Sorry for the network glitch. Suka don't tire me. All right. That's perfect. That's perfect. So I'll share my screen back again. Apologies for the network. No be me. So I go change location now, but I still be student. My gadgets like this now, but just run. So all right, let me share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen now? Can you use the comment section? Can everybody? Don't be me and you they die here or easy. I did wrong come out. Make I graduate first. You mean one more year. So I'm going to restart. Sorry for the network glitch. I hope it does not happen again, but as you can see, nothing is guaranteed in this country. So yeah, I was talking about evolution of the web, which is the basic step we need to understand in software development. You know, most people these days are into tech. They call themselves front-end developers, but they don't really understand the core concepts, which is what I'm trying to do here. Even me, when I started learning programming, I didn't learn all these things. It was along the way I'll be going back to checking, okay, what's the server side URL? What's the function of URL? What is domain? How does domain operate? You know, stuff like that. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing today, discussing the evolution of the web. So I define web as short form, like web is the short form for World Wide Web, which is our www. It's a system of interconnected documents and other resources linked by hyperlinks and URLs. So basically, when you create a website, for your website to be on the web, it must be linked to a URL. That's how it works. If you create a website, if it's on your system, nobody knows the website exists because it's on your local machine, or like backend there to call. People say it's you're accessing it from your local host. Nobody knows the website exists. When you attach it to a domain, to a URL, it makes it available on the web. So the into so you so it also allows users to access and share information, communicate with others around the world. So just like we have Facebook, Instagram, in as much as this also app, the informations are still communicated through the web. Yes, they are still communicated through the web. That's why most times not most times, because that's the basic
Ah,
thing. Can you mute your call, please? Mickey
good
Manny,
evening.
let me help you unmute it. Um, okay, let me admit it. I think Gideon forget that I raised his hand, but that's fine. So that's basically what you need to understand about the web. Now, in the evolution of the web, we have where like these days you go on Facebook and you have a problem, you ask for customer service help. They reply to you. You have issues in your bank app. You go to chat app, the bank chat app. You chat with customer service. They reply.
You want to say something? Hello, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Okay, let's wait for him to come back. His network is really bad, so let's just wait for him to come back. Please don't leave the call yet, right? Let me just try and rectify his network, and he'll be back. All right. Thank you. Sorry, Gideon, your hands are up. I don't know. Do you want to say anything? You can mute your mic and speak. You want to say anything, Gideon? Okay, he's aware of that. I just chatted him up on WhatsApp. He's aware of that. He'll come back, don't worry. Sorry, Shedrack, if by chance you are saying something, we can't hear you, and network really trip you off, right?
I can't really hear anything over here.
Shedrack, can you hear me? Yeah, same here. Same thing is coming from his network. Shedrack, I don't know if you can hear me. You're not saying anything. Ah, network again, for that big. Ah.
All right. Sorry for the interruption. Class is recorded. Don't worry. Come on. Let's look. So, where should I start from, guys? I don't know when I lost you guys actually. The web one or the web two or the web? Which one? And somebody said something.
Okay,
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 Gloria.
Shedrack, I don't know if you can change your location. That's the first.
Okay.
Have to do. Change your location. Yeah.
I just actually switched to my Wi-Fi, so let's see if it's better. I don't think it's get interrupted again. Well, you can hear me clearly, right? Gloria. All right. We're born. Everybody's saying we're born. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen a bit. We're born. All right. All right. So basically, um, I'm Gloria. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So basically, I was talking about Web 1, and I was saying that Web 1 is static. Like, you cannot interact with it. You cannot chat with a person because it's only read only. You can
Sorry,
only read what is on the site.
sorry, Shedrack,
Sorry, what do
Shedrack,
you say?
can you hear me? Shedrack,
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
you're not sharing your screen, please. Share your
Yeah,
screen.
I know. Which share is very
I say
fast.
you're not sharing. Just in case.
All right. Thank you. All right. So basically, I was saying that Web 1 is you cannot actually interact with it. It's very static. The only thing you can see there is just what you can read. You can't communicate with the website. You cannot communicate with another person. So that was the limitation that Web 1 faced. Then from there we evolved to like Web 2, which is what I refer to the second generation of the web, the World Wide Web that emerged in the early 2000s. That's I think, like I said before, specifically 2004. It was characterized by a shift from static web pages to dynamic web pages. So when you see websites that you can like, you can comment, you can share, stuff like that. You can visit another link through it. Those kinds of interaction. Um, Websites that when you go, you are seeing something like animations. A text moving around, a text writing itself and erasing itself. Basically stuff like that. You can watch videos. You can pause the video, you can play the video, you can share the links to the video, you can interact. So that's basically what Web2 brought about. That was the major thing Web2 introduced. So basically, Web2 was the second generation after Web1. Because from having a site that we cannot interact with, that is very static, we now have a site that we can interact with, which is what sites like our chat apps and the rest. Like I already explained, one of the key features of Web2 was the ability for users to interact with websites and with each other, creating a more engaging and interactive online experience. This led to the rise of social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, which allowed users to share content and connect with others around the world. So, like I've explained, this was the major innovation Web2 brought to the web platform itself. Like this is what Web2 introduced. This is why it's a second generation. Because if it was not something as big as this, then we would have just grouped it under Web1. But it was a change, evolved into a whole different kind of thing. You can interact with the website, put in your comments, retweet, quote tweets, and the rest of all of that. So that's the basic thing you need to understand about Web2. Then bringing us to, I would have gone to talk about Web3, but this is our major focus, Web2 development. This is our major focus, Web2 development. So in discussing about Web2, we need to understand who a software developer is, or what is software development basically. So, when you go to places like LinkedIn now, for example, yeah, you see some people calling themselves software developer. And I'll be wondering, and when you check the person's bio, you see things like language stack is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the person is calling himself a software developer. It's always funny because I'm like, do you know how many languages you must know altogether to call yourself a software engineer or a software developer? It's crazy, and I feel like we need to understand this so that we don't miss jobs that are trying to find us. They're looking for front-end developer and they're coming to your bio. They are seeing software developer. It's confusing. So let's not have any kind of imposter syndrome, or let's not trying to be, doing like, yeah. The name is sweet. When you say front-end developer, you're like one, you're like a category of techie, and you talk about software developer, software engineer. These people are people that I can sit down and say, okay, they have been in the tech space for 10 years, because the amount of things you need to know to be a software developer is large. And it's divided into several niche, several categories. So before you call yourself a software developer, you need to understand that you must have come across 2 to 4 niches under software development, and you are good at it. So please, let's do what we call ourselves. We are in software development, yes. But are you a software developer? All right, so me admit. Please meet your coach. So, are you a software developer? You need to understand that. So, a software developer is a person who creates computer programs that run on various platforms like desktop, mobile devices, or the web. So, like desktops, we're talking about front-end devs, back-end devs. Mobile devices, we're talking about game developers, DevOps, mobile developers, mobile game developers. We're talking about mobile app developers. Talk about web. We're talking about web designers. It covers a lot. They use programming languages to write code that can perform specific tasks, such as managing data. Managing data, we talk about using of SQL. This is a back-end stack. processing information. We're talking about data analytics. We're talking about data science. We have displaying graphics. We're talking about web design. So it's a large place. So when you say a software developer, I beg, especially if you started learning HTML yesterday and you go to Twitter and write software developer, I see your profile I'll run, basically. So a software developer is software development, I mean, is wide. It cuts across a range of things. It's very, very wide. Software developers can work on a variety of projects, from creating mobile apps, you can see it, web apps, to building enterprise softwares for businesses, etc. It is something I would like to point out. Me personally, I've come across some posts, some messages whereby somebody's asking me the difference between web app and websites. Does anybody know the difference? Is there anybody here that most likely will know the difference? If I say something, does anybody want to differentiate for me? Okay, I guess nobody. So basically, what I'm saying is that a website, a website is a collection of web pages that is hosted or being connected to a URL, basically. So I want you to understand that web app is under website. But the thing is that what makes web app different from other applications? Should I say other applications? Other platforms or programs that's being regarded as a website is the programming language that they used in writing it. If I write a website now using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I can call it a website, but I cannot fully call it a web app. But um if I write a language like if I write a website, sorry, with a language like Laravel or React or Next.js, I can call it a web app. So the language you use in writing that particular site is what makes it either a full website, or you can as well call it a web app. So I need to understand the difference. Like, don't go and write website to system CSS and JavaScript and come and tell me it's web app, basically. So yeah, now there are so many niches in software development. I just highlighted five, but the list goes on: game development, AI learning, data analytics, data science, front end development, back end, stack, DevOps, machine learning. Like there's a lot. The list goes on, but that's why I said before you call yourself software developer, be careful. Be careful. Somebody might be looking for somebody that will just do HTML and CSS, and they will see software developer. They'll be like, this guy is too expensive for me. I cannot afford this guy. It's too expensive. I can't. That kind of stuff. So basically, let's do what we're calling ourselves very important, because how you present yourself is what is part is very important in this tech space. Social presence. Social presence. Like recently I lost my old Twitter account. Like I don't know how I got hacked. Okay, no, it didn't get hacked. It got suspended, and I've been writing so many letters to Twitter for them to use my account. For like almost 2 months, nobody's answering me. I've written letter. Even if my letter is not sweet enough, I use AI to write the letter. I've even told somebody to write the letter. I even paid somebody to write letter. Still, they don't want to give my account back, and I do not even know the reason why it was just suspended. So I just have to restart another Twitter, and started going followers all over again. So it's very stressful, but you need to understand that you need to build in public. So that's very important. So how you present yourself is very important. So after this call, don't go and change your profile to software developer. But the truth is that once you just write your first line of code, you are a developer. But look for the category you are, not not software development. Okay, 5 years past anybody on this call calling yourself software developer. So let's continue. Now, what are the language stacks we need to understand in learning software development? We have front end development, for example, now, which is a niche. We need to understand markup languages like HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS is not a programming language. Programming languages are languages that has variables and has variables, and you can look through data. Please understand. I would have added it to my slide, but I'm sorry about that. But I think I'll add it and I'll share the slide. Programming languages are languages that has variables and you can look through data in it. You need to understand this. Why HTML and CSS is not a programming language is because they don't have variables. You need to understand they don't have variables and you can't look through data through it. Those are the two major points. You can check Google, check Ask AI, Ask ChatGPT. They'll tell you that these are the two major things that makes HTML and CSS not a programming language. Sorry, who omitted their call? Naya Daniel, please mute your. Maybe I'll mute it. Don't worry. So basically, CSS are not programming language. They are markup languages, right? HTML now is, when you see a text on the website, okay, let me just search. Let me search pizza, for example, now. Look it up. So now, I'm looking at pizza now. This is the result, right? If you look at things like
Your mic is muted, blockchain.
wow. Sorry, what was the last thing I said?
If you look at, we are pointing at the pizza.
Let's go to
Pizza.
pizza.
Okay. All right. So basically, I said if I let me highlight the text, for example, now. This highlighted.
It has happened again. No?
I think it's the map function in the Google search that is unmuting the call. But you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me just give you a basic understanding. The text you see on a website is the HTML code. That is what HTML does. It gives the website the structure. That's basically what HTML does. Structure. So everything that you see that is written on the website is written in the HTML. Even when you're using frameworks like React, they still import HTML in. So HTML is the basic structure of the website. Without HTML, you can't have a website because you cannot read anything. Even if you want to just fill your website with images, you must use HTML. So that's the basic structure of a website. So I need to understand that HTML and CSS are not programming languages because you can't look through data. They are not variables. Some certain amount of interactions cannot happen with just HTML and CSS. So for you to become a front-end developer, you need to understand HTML, CSS, programming languages like JavaScript, libraries and frameworks like React, Next.js, Tailwind, the CSS, Bootstrap, and Astro. So in the course of this bootcamp, we'll be majorly talking about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. You see the remaining of these stuff here, they are built on top these four languages I just mentioned: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. Now, for example, Next.js now, for example, is built on top of React. React, for example, Tailwind, sorry, for example, now is built on top of CSS and HTML. Bootstrap too is built on top of CSS and HTML. Astro is built on top of JavaScript. So once you understand the basics of this programming language, trust me, you can learn any framework. The truth about programming is that almost all programming languages have the same syntax. That's just the truth. To be very honest with you, if you understand JavaScript like so well, I don't think there is any programming language that you will not be able to catch up if you are serious with it. It won't look so new to you because almost all these programming languages have similar syntax. In fact,
Excuse
Python has
me.
it. Okay.
What exactly do frameworks help with?
All right. Frameworks basically makes your coding easier. Okay, let me use let's talk about which framework should I talk about now? Okay, let's talk about Tailwind now. I said Tailwind, right? And I said Tailwind is built on top of HTML and CSS. If I'm building a website now, basically I need my HTML file and I need my CSS file separate in the same folder. Someone said my voice is not coming out. You guys can hear me well, right?
Loud and clear.
All right. So I'm going to have my HTML folder and my CSS file separate in the same folder. Right. So if I want to style my text, which is my HTML, I will need to go to my CSS and start doing color, this, that. And when I'm done, I'll now start thinking about, okay, what about the phone view? Like I need to have a phone view, basically. Yeah, because when you're coding, you're going to be coding on your laptop, so you're going to be seeing a desktop view. So you need the website to align very well on your phone. So when you now talk about phone view, you now start going back again. You now start doing, okay, I set the width to 500 pixels. If my phone screen is this, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, let this one come here, let this one not be there, let this one be there. You know, you start adding and removing, making your font size smaller, stuff like that. So it's a lot of stress, to be very honest with you. I've written a website before and I wrote up to 10,000 lines of CSS. You know, it means to write 10,000 lines. I mean, for every text I'm writing, I'm going to be adding the specific font size, font family, color, font weight. Am I making it italic or bold, underlined? Am I making it green or blue? No, basically, if you do all this one by one, it will just make your code so long. And if you're not that organized, it will make you so scattered. It's very stressful to read. Basically, things like this. But what frameworks like Tailwind does is that in your HTML direct, once you're adding an image or a text, you can just directly be adding the font size where you want it to be placed. You want it in the middle, the center, and the right, on top, below. You get add the color. How big you want the text to be? You can do it directly inside your HTML code without having to go to CSS. Then after you do one on CSS, you go back to the HTML. So that's what Tailwind does. It's built on top of HTML and CSS, but everything happens in your HTML. And in Tailwind, you don't need to start setting how many pixels. Imagine now you're trying to build a website. You have to think about different phone size. Okay, we're talking about iPhone 7. You know how small iPhone 7 is. We're talking about Samsung. You know how big Samsung screen can be. We'll now start talking about tabs. talking about mini laptop, talking about normal laptop, talking about desktop, talking about big screens. I don't know if you have seen all those screens that are very big that they use and do workspace, basically. Like right now, even the screen I have now, I have two screens. One is 1,600, the other one is 2,560. So imagine I'm coding it with raw CSS. I will have to do for the 1,600 and do for the 2,500. And I'll now have to start wondering about other phone sizes from 14 Pro Max to Samsung to Google Pixel phone. These are very stressful, but you need to first of all understand the basics of working with different phones and phone sizes, which is why you need to learn CSS. When I was learning programming, I fell in love with CSS. That was what I fell in love with at first. Then before I fell in love with JavaScript, but first of all, I fell in love with CSS. Because when you build stuff and your site is looking so pretty, like you have pride, you can show it to anybody. That kind of stuff. Like I like when the whole stuff just looks good. Like I don't like working. I can never build something that does not look so good. Basically, at some point I even started learning Figma so that I'll be switching my own design because it's my work. Anybody that sees it, that's know it's me, and I have to put out something good there. So CSS just help you beautifies your website. And the full meaning for CSS is cascading style sheets. So okay. Sochi, you want to say something? I don't get why I beg. Angela. So Sochi, you're raising up your hand. Just say something. You can unmute your mic. I don't think Sochi can hear me. Emmanuel, what about you? You're raising up your hand. You can say something. Unmute your mic. Okay, so basically, I think Emmanuel not hearing me or it's not going to call. So basically, let's proceed. So yeah, I was talking about CSS and somebody asked what are the frameworks like important. So I explained it makes your work easier. They help cover a lot of things that you don't need to worry about, especially responsiveness. Like when I mean responsiveness, meaning your website must align with every screen size it comes in contact with. So that's what you need to understand that framework does. Just makes life easier for you, basically. But you will not understand frameworks if you don't understand HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That is the honest truth. So don't jump. Okay, spend some time learning this before you proceed. All right. So back end development. For you to be a back end developer. Now, first of all, there's something I did not explain in front end development. A front-end development basically implies that you are working with the UI and the UX of your consumer or your customer, which is the user interface for the UI and user experience for the UX. What do I mean? If I go to this pizza site now, they will mute my mic. Okay, let's say I go to a site like Hostinja now, right? Everything we're seeing, everything we're seeing right now, everything we're seeing right now is the UI, basically. That's the user interface. All this is done by a front-end developer. Everything you're seeing right now, all this is done by a front-end developer. Even when I click on this drop down, it's done by a front-end developer. But when I try to log in, that's when the back end comes in. Like you can see, if I highlight any of this, it grows bigger. That's the front end development. So this is the user experience. Like, what's your experience with the site? Oh, it's a nice website. I love the interaction, stuff like that. Yes, that's all the work of a front end developer. But when you talk about logging in, when you talk about storing data, like basically, if you log in to a website, that means you have been signed up before. So that means your data is already in the website database, right? Now, who is in charge of coordinating this data? Who is running the server? Who is working on the server side of this website? That's basically what backend there does. Okay. So the languages you need to learn about that include Python, PHP, JavaScript server side, which is Node.js. Node.js is a server side JavaScript. JavaScript runs on both front end and back end, or let me say, it runs on both the client side and the server side. So Node.js is the server side of what? JavaScript. So what's the difference? The difference is that you cannot write Node.js in a client side JavaScript. Or as time goes on, you understand what I mean by client side and server side. I'm going to cover that in the JavaScript course. But all I need to know is that Node.js is a server side JavaScript, meaning it runs on the server, not on the client. Okay. Okay, let me just explain. Clients, whenever you hear client side in web development or in software development, whenever you hear client side, just know that you are interacting with the browser, or the website is interacting with the browser. Somebody might be unmuted there. All right, so like I was saying, client side there basically means that you are interacting with the browser, the website is interacting with the browser. But server side means that the website is not interacting with the browser, it's interacting with a server, which might be coming from a CDN. I think that's the most basic way I can put it down so that you can understand. So Node.js is not completely JavaScript, it's server-side JavaScript, the writing backend language. Then we have full stack development. Full stack development basically means you're a front-end developer and a back-end developer together. Meaning that if I tell you to build any website now, you will run out. No question. Because you can do both the front end and the back end. Okay, so basically that's what a full stack developer is. So the language you need to learn to become a full stack developer are client-side programs or browser programs like JavaScript, CSS, React. I did not put HTML as I did not CSS is never supposed to be ESF at all. But basically, these are land programs you need to learn. Then server programs like PHP, Python, Node.js for you to become a full stack developer. So you must know like these two together, basically. So lastly, I'll talk about DevOps. So the language you need to learn Golang, PHP, Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Perl. So these DevOps they create software environments. Okay, for example, now I don't know how many of you that knows Visual Studio Code. Basically, a part of Visual Studio Code isn't played by DevOps. Like they play a major role there because they create an environment that has to do with a lot of interactions, basically. So they create software development, software environments. Sorry. So basically, all right. So I'm going to do a quick recap on all I've spoken about today, because it's basically talked about the evolution of the web, what software development is about, various evolution of the web 1, web 2, niches of software development. We have front end, back end, full stack, mobile developers, game developers, DevOps, data analytics, data science, etc. So with this introduction, I believe if you completely understand what I'm saying, you should be equipped enough for us to start the practical part of this bootcamp, which is you downloading various apps you are going to need for the bootcamp, writing your first code to become a developer, and for the 1,000 time, don't change your profile to software developer. If I see any software developer or anybody, I'm going to carry God and put down your page. Because it takes a lot. You need to understand this nonsense. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Okay, so I'll be interacting with questions now. Ask me anything concerning this topic, concerning the bootcamp, anything you want to ask, because I'm going to, I'm actually the cohort lead for this bootcamp. So if you have any question now, you can ask me. Or if later on a question comes to your mind, you can tag me on the group chats. I think my name on WhatsApp is SHEZZY. You can tag me on the group chats. All right, so I'll be taking questions now. So Blessing, let's start with you. What do you have for me? Blessing, you can unmute your mic. Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Please, what's the difference between a web app and a website? I didn't really get that part.
The programming language you are using to write it is what differentiates it. Because, okay, a programming language now or a framework like React, I'm sorry, a framework like Next.js or a library like React, they basically work in a way that they build apps that is being displayed on the website. There's something that you understand, but it's when you get to that level. If I build a website now with HTML and CSS and JavaScript now, and I want to visit another, okay, I think this hosting platform now, I think this should be a web app. Let's check it. Let's see. I'm trying to log in now. All right, this is a website. Now, how do I know that this is a website, right? If you notice, what happened is that when I clicked on login, web app is also a website too. Understand this. Web app is also a website too. But not all websites can be considered a web app. I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me show you what I mean now. This is just one of the features. If I'm trying to visit this login now, just watch my URL. Watch my URL. You're going to notice that it reloads and takes me to another page, right? This is a website. But when you look at web apps, if I click on this login, this thing is not going to reload. Just directly going to like is working on the same, like, how will I put it? It's not going to reload the URL basically. It's going to just take you to that page. Most likely you see something rolling on the screen, like loading, or you see a tiny line, maybe green or blue line moving across, trying to complete, and it takes you to the next page. Okay, those are actually web apps. Like when you see sites like websites like that, you know that okay, this was not built with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. This was built before. And most of these why I say web apps is because they can easily be integrated into an application. Sylvia, please mute your mic. All right. Blessing. I hope you was it Blessing that asked? Whoever that asked, I hope you understand. So somebody asked on the comment section, is it possible to start learning back end, start learning front end? Just go and learn HTML. Just learn HTML. Choose from the comment section.
Yes,
Just learn
I
HTML.
get it.
Just learn HTML. Once you learn HTML, the truth is that most backend developers, to be very honest, most backend developers, before they became backend developers, they first of all tried front end and are like, nah, front end is not for me. You know, most people think front end is until you jam front end. So most of them will be like, no, front end is not for me. Before you know, they start learning backend language. That's how it always is. I've not seen one single backend developer that did not try learning front end first. Very difficult. They are very rare. So yeah,
I
you just
have
learn
a friend that's trying to get into the meeting, but no one is letting him in.
There's nobody trying to enter the meeting now. So let's see. Tochiku, what's the question?
I want to ask, I know I mean, kind of taking this thing too further. Like, if you
I can't
want
hear you well
to,
enough. I can't
kind
hear
of,
you well enough.
okay,
Can you raise your voice, please? I can't hear you well enough.
okay,
What I'm saying is that if you're trying to build something like a website or a project, and you kind of you get a video like from YouTube, and you're trying to follow it up, but some point in time you're kind of stuck. You don't know what this person did in the video, and you've tried several ways. Like in situations like that, how do you go about it? And is that the best way to learn? Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
I didn't fully get your question. Can you just repeat it? Be more audible.
Oh yeah, I think that, like if you decide to build a project, the first question
Okay.
is that okay, going to YouTube and kind of following like what the YouTuber did, is it an efficient way to learn? Then secondly, if you maybe in the process of trying to follow what the person did or doing something similar, you're not, you like, there's a particular thing that the person did, you're not actually getting, like when you tried implementing it, like in situations like that, what do you do? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you hear me, sir?
Basically, yes, I can. I heard you. Let me answer your question. Everybody have different learning patterns. Like there are some people
Okay.
that they learn by reading docs, like documents. Like you go to a website like
Okay.
W3 School. Me personally, I learn through video tutorial, like YouTube videos, Udemy, stuff like
Okay.
this. That's how I learn. So everybody have their learning pattern. So first of all, you have to know what pattern works for you. Me, if I'm reading docs, I'll just sleep. That's just the truth. I will just sleep.
Okay.
But it is a video
Okay.
tutorial as they are doing it and practicing. And if you come into a situation whereby you don't really understand how the YouTuber did a certain thing, you can just go to the community group chat on WhatsApp, drop the question, or tag me in the question. I'll try to break it down for you. That's the essence of having a community, and that's why I'm also in
Okay.
the chat. So I hope things like this. Okay, you don't need to understand
Okay.
everything in
Okay.
the video. I used to watch YouTube video and
Okay.
I don't understand everything, but at some point later on, I'll be like, oh, that's what it did. Yeah, now I get, stuff like that. But if you are very confused, just ask on the community group chat or tag me on the group chat.
Okay. Okay. All
So
right.
let me take
Okay.
a question
Thank you, sir.
from a
All right. Thank
comment.
you, sir. All right.
All right.
Okay.
So I don't think that from start for the future.
Thank you, sir. All right.
What do you mean by
Okay.
HTML and
Thank
CSS
you, sir.
are not very? All right, all right. Can mute your mic now, Tochiko. So I didn't say HTML and CSS are not variable. I said they are not programming languages because they don't hold variables and they can't look through data. That's what the reason I gave. They are not programming languages because they cannot hold variables and they don't look through data. Golang is a programming language for DevOps. So who am I picking next? Somewhere you have a question, or meet your mic.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
I
Please,
can't
can you
hear you.
confirm if I'm... Yeah, good evening, everybody. Can you please confirm if I'm audible enough?
Yeah, I do enough.
Yeah, I also want to actually chip in something in regards to the question Tochko asked. I think it's not
Okay.
enough for you to actually jump into YouTube and start learning, though it's a good start because it actually shows that you're serious. But it's also good that you start with the fundamentals, and I think that's why we are here. I know if you get it from the scratch, so many of these complications you get at the cost of learning might not be as taxing as it comes. And just as our mentor has actually said, I think it's also good you become a part of a community that will also guide you, should in case you have complications. So I think that's what I would chip in that. Then secondly, I want to ask, you've actually highlighted so many of the niches around that one can actually pick or can actually leverage. So I want to ask, are we expected in the bootcamp to actually pick up a niche from these, or probably we are given the opportunity to also to learn most of the programming language and see what works for us? Then we can also grow from that end. That's just my question, sir. Thank you.
Right. Samuel, thank you so much for your contribution to the triple question. Concerning your second question, basically what we do at Blockchain UNN is train developers, and our end goal is to integrate most people into Web3, right? But going into Web3 is by choice. Web3 is not where all the juice is. Even in Web2, there's a lot of juice, a lot of community membership, a lot of money. Okay, you just choose whether you want to upgrade or not. But the roadmap that we use in this cohort is to take you to Web3, which is you starting from Web2. So if you're done with Web2 and you decide that, okay, you're cool, you don't want to go into Web3, you want to get jobs on Web2, that's fine. Me, basically, I'm on Web2. I decided not to further in Web3. I might at some point tomorrow now say, okay, let me learn Web3. Though I've written one or two Web3 stuff, but I'm like, let me just chill with Web2. Okay, so basically, what the end game is to take you to Web3. So we are generally going to be focusing on um the front end development part, because if the major one set is the JavaScript. Once you understand JavaScript, like I said, most backend developers, they can always start from front end, and they're like, nah, I can't do this. Then they go learn back end. So basically, the back end development course definitely will come around sometime. But for now, we are looking at a roadmap to integrate people into Web3. But it's a choice something. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, perfectly, sir. But the question actually, what I was looking at is, you've answered it perfectly. But I just wanted to be sure that we are going to be covering some of this fact. Even though we are not going deep down into it, at least we also have the opportunity to learn some of those back end development stuff and so on. Thank you.
All right, all right.
Hello. Please, will this cohort be teaching backend development?
No, no, no. We're focusing more on front end for this particular cohort.
Is it because backend is difficult, sort of?
No, no, no. Backend is no. It's not because it's difficult. It's because of the end game is to integrate people into Web3, and Web3 has a lot to do with JavaScript. The syntax of JavaScript makes you a lot knowledgeable about Web3. So that's why we picked the front end stack to teach people, so that at the end of the day, when they're trying to transit into Web3, it won't be so much difficult. It has nothing to do with whether it's harder or not. To some people, front end is harder than back end. So the back end harder than front end, basically. So yeah. But definitely, if a lot wants to, dive into the back end development, we could put that into consideration at the team and see what we can do. But for this particular bootcamp, I'm focusing more on the front end development because of we're trying to make it easier to get integrated into Web3. So I hope that answers the question, Checker.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, good evening, all. I want to ask a question.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, can you hear me?
Same here. Can't hear anything.
All right. The difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is that Web 3 has a lot to do with blockchain development. You're interacting with smart contracts. We're talking about languages like Solidity, Cario, those stuff like this. It has to do a lot with blockchain. So that's what Web 3 is about, blockchain technology. Okay, so even when somebody creates a token, a coin, it's a smart contract, has to do with Web3. You know, when you are making payments through blockchain, has to do with Web3. When you are building blockchain, it has to do with Web3. Yeah, so that's the major difference. So Edwin, can I ask a question now?
Okay, please. Good evening. My question is, there was one certain time I was having a discussion with someone, and the person was like, uh, he needs a web developer, but someone that has knowledge of React. And me, sorry, I was now confused. I was like, I thought someone that knows HTML, CSS, and JavaScript can call himself a developer and can develop website. But now the person is now talking about React. And the another question is, there was what there was one certain time I was discussing with someone. The person, I've forgotten how the person sounded, but she was like, she doesn't make use of CSS. That she designed her website with one some is it I've forgotten what either fire, was it Firebase or be fire something something. That is what she
You cannot
used.
be. All right,
So
so yeah, for your first question, most companies recently are looking for um, React developers. Why? Like I said earlier, there's a difference between full website and web app, which is also a website. What React gives you the web app, it's fast. You understand? It gives you higher SEO. That's a search engine optimization. It gives you more code organization. It gives you more usability. Like you can use your code in another place again. So React is much more a company something like if I get fired now, someone comes in and work with your code easier. It makes your site fast. It's a library built on top of JavaScript. But not only is it built on top of JavaScript, it combines HTML, CSS, and JavaScript together into one language, which we call the React. So most times, most companies, recent companies now do not like dealing with especially big companies. They prefer their app being built with React because it's faster. You get like me basically now, though I've come a long way in this space, but it has been a very long time I wrote HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I write React most times, it's React and Next. But before I even learned the React, it was hell almost because I needed a fast understanding of JavaScript. Like it was so difficult at that point. So most big companies these days are just looking for web apps developers, people that can write in React. Okay, so that's what React just brings. Reusability of code, easier to understand, no stuff like this. Then for the second question, like I said, somebody asked me what frameworks are used for, and I explained them. I explained them Tailwind. Tailwind is a framework that is built on top of HTML and CSS, right? So I said when you don't want to work with the CSS file, you can actually style your HTML directly inside the HTML file using Tailwind. Tailwind is an example. Bootstrap too is an example. So I'm getting that person used either Tailwind or Bootstrap to style this our work and did not work with CSS. I think that is what happened. Yeah, so it's a framework, but you would not understand Tailwind or Bootstrap if you don't understand CSS. So because all this Tailwind and Bootstrap, most of them they use short codes, like short codes to just to align their particular function that they want to do. Like if you want to make font size bigger, most times you will not see it as font size equals to 20 pixels. This is. You can just put everything into one line, like as an iPhone, and just put font size. This is that. Like, okay, let me quickly do something for you guys now. Let me use my notepad. All right. So for example, now, if I have an HTML, let's say H1, for example, right? This is HTML. Like this H1 means heading, like header, and I put something like Edwin, right? On my website, this is if I go to my
Nothing is showing.
if I put it like what I'll see, right? But now, if I want to style this with normal CSS, I'll do H1.
Sure, I'm not
and I'll
seeing
do
anything, no, sir.
So your
I'm
screen
not
is
seeing
not
not
showing.
seeing
anything.
it.
You're not sharing your screen,
I don't,
no, Mr. Shedrack.
okay, I'm not seeing my screen. Are you serious? Wow. Sorry. I'll do that now. I forgot I'm not sharing the screen. Can you guys see the screen now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, like I said earlier, are you seeing this now?
Yes.
So basically, this is an HTML code, right? And I called it Eldwin. If I want to style it in CSS, I'll have to go to a different file. Like I'll have to go to a different file to style it, like, and in that different file, I'll do it like this. I'll do H1. I'll open the tag. I'll close it, and I say font size. Say font size. I'll say font size 20 pixels, right? So meaning that wherever I see this text, it's going to be 20 pixels large. So that means, sorry, that means this is my HTML and this is my CSS. They are in two different files. Forget that I'm putting it in the same notepad. They are in two different files, right? But if I don't want to work with CSS file, right? If I don't want to work with CSS file, right? I'm just going to clear this out and I have only my HTML. With the help of a framework, okay, let's say for example now I'm using Bootstrap. I'm using Bootstrap. All I'll just do is just do class. I'll put equals to like this. Yeah, I'm just going to put my styling. This is not the correct syntax. Hold on. My styling like this. And I can say, okay, this just means that this Edwin is going to be 20 pixels, right? So you can see everything is done inside the same HTML, and they achieve the same thing that putting this font size in a different CSS file will do. So this is how we don't work with the CSS file, but that's you using the CSS framework like Bootstrap or Tailwind. Does that make sense? Forget about the syntax. You learn it in the next class. I think we're talking about HTML in the next class. But this is basically what it means. Instead of me having a different file like I did here, instead of having a different file like I put in this place before, I'll just have only this as my format. So does that answer your question anyway?
Yes, but please don't be offended. Does it mean that Bootstrap is like inline styling?
You can say that, yes. Just that the difference is that inline styling now, for example, right? In inline styling, I'm not going to be calling it inside my style. I'll be putting something like equal to, then I'll now open another column like this. Now I'll now put H1, and I'll now put this, and I'll now take this side like this. Most definitely take this out. So this is more like an inline style. So you can see the difference. So this is inline styling. We'll talk more about that in CSS, of course. So who else has a question? I hope that answered the question. Edwin. Was it Edwin that asked?
Yes, sir.
So Chioma, you can ask your question.
Good evening,
Chioma, you
everyone.
can ask your question.
Please, good evening, everyone. Please, I didn't get the difference between a front-end developer and a back-end developer.
You did what?
I didn't get the difference between a front-end developer and a back-end developer.
The front-end developer works on what you see. Like the whole of this page now is done by a front-end developer. But when you are dealing with data and you are handling login or you are storing something in database, you are talking about back-end developers. Yeah, they don't build the website itself. What you are seeing now is not what you are seeing here, for example, now is not done by a back-end developer, it's done by a front-end developer. Okay.
Uh,
Um
all right, thanks.
Chinos. Okay, yeah, you're welcome, Choma. Chinos, so ask a question.
Good day, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Sorry? What do you say, Choma? Wait.
I'm just greeting. I'm greeting. Please, I want to ask.
I'm Chinos, I'm listening.
Is it? Are we? Yeah. Are you hearing
Okay,
me?
okay.
I want to ask. Is it a front end track we are going to be
Fine,
dealing
I
with
can hear you.
this under these 12 weeks? Is it just front end we are going to be dealing with during this program?
Yes, boss. Basically front end. Because
Okay.
that's the
All right.
language stack you need to integrate into Web3.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Let me take a question from the message board. So somebody is saying, do the way they code it up in the header and similar to this one. Don't worry, we'll learn more about this inline styling when you get to the CSS crash course along the bootcamp. After HTML, we're talking about CSS. So any other question? We'll be learning React. Then I'll most likely give a brief introduction to Bootstrap in the course. Do you mean those websites with extension.io? I don't know where this question is coming from. Um, does anybody have any other question? Okay, Chino, so your hand is serious. You still have a question. Chama, your hand is serious. You still have a question. All right. So if nobody is having a question, thank you all for joining me today on our introduction to software development and the evolution of the web. Next class, we'll be talking about installation of devices, of programs and software that we're going to be using to write our code, platforms that we're going to be using to submit our assignments to. Most likely, you'll be writing your first line of code for those that are new, very new to this program by our next contact, which will be Sunday. It's supposed to be on Tuesday, but like I said, because of the exam, we're having one contact every week. So your attendance have been taken, and you remember 60% attendance, 70% assignment submission, and final project submission is very, very important. So do well to follow me on Twitter, as I don't run new accounts. So do well to follow me on Twitter, and you can also follow me on GitHub. But most people don't know what this GitHub is, but me personally, I'll be taking up GitHub crash course. So you can definitely wait to meet me again. I'm not your only tutor. Next week, another person is taking you. All right. But if you are missing me, you can tag me on the group. Don't worry. So basically, follow me on Twitter, follow me on GitHub. I will appreciate. It was nice talking to you all tonight. Have a nice night. All right. Good night, everyone. You can leave the call now.
Hello, guys.